What's up, running out the clock listeners? This is Welcome to the Tad Pod, and we are here to talk about Rebel basketball, as we always are. With me again, as you have come to know and expect and love, Sam Mooney. Say hello, Sam.
Hello, good to be here.
Welcome on, and we are here to recap the week that was for Ole Miss, and it was a good week. It wasn't a great week. It was a week that Ole Miss did exactly what it needed to do. Had a chance to maybe do something big, but didn't. That's okay. But that's why I'm saying this week the Rebels sipped the necessary tea. They didn't sip all the tea. They didn't sip any bad tea. They just sipped the tea they needed to sip. And we sit here now with the last four games really only needing to win one. And you look to be in really good shape for the NCAA Tournament. As a quick recap, Ole Miss dropped a really weird game to South Carolina Tuesday night, and then won another weird game Saturday in Oxford against Georgia. So, Sam, what'd you see this week?
Yeah, I unfortunately did not get to see very much of the South Carolina game, other than the only part I liked, which was when we were up like 13-2. I was in Ajax watching that one, and
excellent play.
Yeah, that part was great. But then I checked the score again. Actually, you were texting me some through the game, keeping me updated, and things went south. So I don't have a lot to say. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on what transpired in Columbia. But like you said yesterday, weird game, but you find a way to win in a tough one. And I'll say this too: Georgia has been competitive with good teams. I mean, I know 1-12 is seriously terrible, but they almost beat State and they almost beat LSU. So one of these days, maybe before the year that ends, they're going to beat somebody.
They're maybe the best 1-12 SEC team ever.
Exactly. Yeah, they've kept it pretty competitive. And so, like you said, we didn't really advance our status, but we certainly didn't hurt ourselves this week. So
yeah.
The necessary tea was sipped.
The necessary tea, the not losing to a sub 100 net team was that particular brand of tea was sipped. It was chugged all week, actually. No, I mean, I think South Carolina, the only thing to say, but it just was weird. You started off on a huge run to open the game, and it looked like, man, we're fixing to go in there and just beat the brakes off of them, and this is fixing to be, we're going to the Georgia game playing for seeding at that point, because it was, I mean, that was the point that you needed, where you needed to, basically the only thing you needed to do for the rest of the year was just don't lose to Georgia at home. I think even if we lose out, we'll be on the bubble, and that won't be good. But I think right now you've still got a really good chance to get in, considering how weak the bubble is and how weak some of the other SEC teams that we're competing with the tournament spot are turning out to be. But you go to South Carolina, and Frank Martin is just an awesome coach. He's a great guy. I mean, you could see. I thought one thing that was so cool was how he supported and backed Devontae Shuler, who South Carolina, Devontae's from right there near Columbia, and there's just clearly a very deep respect for the two of them. And Coach Martin had great things to say about Devontae. Devontae had great things to say about Coach Shuler, and Coach Martin. And that's one of the things that I really love to see is coaches who can show respect for players that way. I mean, because you forget that these guys, these other coaches recruited them for a long time. These guys played AAU ball together. I don't know if you saw, they showed this on during the South Carolina game, but Devontae Shuler played on an AAU team with the guy at Kent State who's so good, and then also a guy that I don't know, he's kind of an obscure college basketball player. You might have heard of him, Zion Williamson. That they were all on the same AAU team, which is hilarious.
I missed that.
And how those guys ever lost a game, if they did lose a game, I don't know. You know, but you forget that these guys have got these relationships, and so to see Coach Martin, who's always seemed like a really good guy, I know he and Coach Kennedy really really had a lot of respect for each other. To see that, it was just a cool thing. And but no, South Carolina is this weird. They're this weird case that they were horrible. They were absolutely horrible in the non-conference, and they're 9-5 in the SEC right now.
Yeah,
and their only losses have been to Kentucky, Tennessee, big name, the big name top of the league teams, and now that now lost to Mississippi State, but it was clear. It was clear early on when we kind of got things going and got out to that big lead that Chris Silva was not playing well. And then Chris Silva decided to start playing well. And when that happened, the game was over.
Yeah.
I mean, because I feel like we say this every week, and it's not to knock the guys' effort, their hearts, or anything like that, but Bruce Stevens and Dominic Linic just are not high-level post defenders. And when they're playing against a high-level post player like Chris Silva, they're going to get exposed. And the teams that we've played that have been really good in the paint, we've struggled with. And so, you jump out to a huge lead. South Carolina comes back. They take a huge lead. Then Ole Miss comes back, and I believe Ole Miss tied it up. It's maybe 60-60, and then South Carolina went out on like a 9 or 7 point run, and that just was it. So, I mean, but again, there's it's a totally different situation when you're South Carolina and they have to win SEC games at this point. And I still don't know if anything that they can do in the regular season is going to be enough. I mean, they might need to win the SEC tournament just because of how bad some of their non-conference losses are. But they're at a point where they're fighting for their lives, and I'm not going to say that we looked complacent. I don't think we did that, but they just had so much more of a reason to play for, and so much more kind of intensity. And a lot of that stems from they are a bigger, more physical team than us. I mean, like we said, we talked about Chris Silva, that Estonian dude, Kotzer, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Those guys just seem to make plays. And so, you struggled and you lost on the road, and that happens. But it's not, that's a loss that, I think as it stands is a quadrant 2 loss, but I think it's going to probably by the end of the season will be up to a quadrant 1 as long as they get to the top 75 in the net, and they've got some games that'll help them get there. So I mean, again, it was a weird game. It didn't go the way that it looked like it was going to go early, but it didn't. I don't think it's going to ultimately end up mattering too much. They'll get. South Carolina's got the inside track on that 4 seed, but anything can happen. So,
who do they have left that's challenging?
That's a good question. Let me pull up their schedule,
because I remember just from the fact that we have Tennessee and Kentucky left, losing to them makes the 4 seed almost unreachable. I think, just based on who each team has left to play. Could be wrong. I don't know.
So South Carolina has got Alabama at home Tuesday. They go to Missouri on Saturday. They go to Texas A&M on next Tuesday, and then they host Georgia on the following Saturday. So that's actually a pretty tough schedule for them.
Bama Bama in Columbia.
Yeah, Bama in Columbia is probably a win, but going to Missouri, Missouri, God bless them, they're not very good, but they play really hard.
They do,
and there's something to be said for that. So they've got at Missouri, and they've got at Texas A&M, and so that leaves very little margin for error. Against Alabama or Georgia, who Georgia by that point it's the last game of the season. They may have quit by then, but Alabama still feels like they're playing for something. So that Tuesday night game might be a sneaky good game. But
that's interesting.
But I mean, definitely compared to our with us being 9-5, them being 9-5, and 2 of our last 4 involving Kentucky and Tennessee, to get to the 4 seed is going to be a tall order. But but I think I think if you go into the SEC tournament with 10 wins, I think you're sleeping easy. I think you can go and lose that game by 100 points and you're going to be fine. But yeah, I mean that kind of closes the book in my mind for the South Carolina game. I mean, what do you think?
I unfortunately did not get to watch enough to have a whole lot of other thoughts on the matter, but it'll be interesting to see how this next couple weeks play out in terms of us and them, and I guess now State kind of jockeying for that 4 seed.
Well, yeah, I mean State's still.
What are they?
They're 7-6, I think.
Okay.
And we're in Ole Miss and South Carolina are both 9-5.
Okay.
So I think there's still going to be 2 games back on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna double check that.
Is anybody else in that 4 seed race?
I don't think so. Let's check.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So you have let's see, where'd it go? I had it and then it went away. I'll find it. This is great podcasting right here.
Hold on, let's see.
Okay, here we go. I've got South Carolina and Ole Miss at 9-5. Florida and Mississippi State. Okay, they're both at 8-6. So we're 14 games, not 13. They're both at 8-6. So they'd be 1 game back. They would have the tiebreaker over South Carolina. I don't know what they would do with us since we split.
Yeah.
And then Florida's also in that range, which is interesting because they have not seemed like they've been very good, but they're doing kind of the same thing that they did last year, where they got really hot at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Alabama is 7-7. Auburn is 7-7. So so you've got 6 teams that are kind of in that gaggle of competition for 4th. You have got obviously the 2-game sweep of Auburn. You've beaten Texas A&M. Texas A&M's not in that conversation. Never mind. So you lost to Florida. You lost to South Carolina. You split with Mississippi State. You lost to Alabama. So who knows? I mean, they may just throw them all up in the air and see whatever order they land in, which probably would be a better. That's way more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you really got 4 teams realistically shooting for that spot, all pretty close together.
Yeah, and who had LSU as the number 1 team in the SEC through 14 conference games?
Gosh.
Because it wasn't me. Yeah, so that's where things are with the SEC tournament seeding race, which, like I said, is going to be really interesting and weird. So we'll see what happens there. But let's turn the page and let's talk about the Georgia game. And Saturday was a really weird day. There were a lot of things going on. A combination of the various goings on the square and the protests or whatever. I mean, we don't have to get into all of that here, but then also there was like tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings all around town. So the vibe
crashed into a place next to Yaya's.
I did not know that.
Look up Yaya's on Twitter. Like, there's like a sunglasses store right next to Yaya's, and a car smashed straight to the front of it. Not protest related, but it was like 12 o'clock last night.
That was that sunglasses store was originally a record store, by the way.
Was it Involve Music, like a previous location?
No, it was called Hot Dog Records.
I like it.
I believe I asked them to pre-order a Newfound Glory CD for me my freshman year.
Nice.
And look, regardless of your thoughts about anything, I'm always proud for Ole Miss athletes to stand up and say, hey, like, this stuff is not who we are, and this is not what we're about. And, if you don't like kneeling for the anthem, I don't actually care. I support those guys standing up for what they believe in. And, I got a lot of respect for them. And the other thing, and this is so funny, the way that I found out that they knelt during the national anthem, and remember I was at the game,
was
checking Twitter at halftime.
No way.
Like I didn't even know. Like, and I was there. I was there for the national anthem. We were we were kind of tending to our son a little bit, but watching the flag, I didn't see it, but I thought that Brian handled himself very well. I thought Ross Bjork had a great statement. Coach Davis had a great statement. Mm-hmm. So, whatever. I mean, if you're the kind of person that's going to get butthurt over that and not go to a game anymore, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
But whatever. So, big shout out to those guys for standing up for what they believe in. And look, the thing is, like, anytime you've got the athletes involved saying this Confederate stuff, like, this is not who we are. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're not an idiot, you want them to say that. You want like you want them to say, "Hey, look, this is a great place. We're a bunch of young black guys, and we love this school, and we love like all that stuff is not what this school is about. Like, put that on a poster. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
And to see guys, I mean, that's your best recruiting tool, is to see guys like Brian, who's from New Jersey, guys like Terrence from Mississippi, Luis from California, Blake from Florida, like all those guys from all over the country being like, this is a great place to be. We love this place.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. You want that,
Absolutely.
So anyway,
also, I would love to see the Venn diagram of people who are outraged about them kneeling and people who have also yelled "Go to hell, LSU" during the national anthem.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so much. Yes.
Because if you've done both of those things, you may want to revisit what respecting the national anthem means to you.
Yep. No argument here. You are absolutely correct. But despite all of the news coverage from Saturday, Ole Miss and Georgia did play a basketball game. Indeed. And it was another weird game. The game had me nervous all week because, like you mentioned earlier, Georgia's played well in a handful of their most recent games, and Georgia is statistically the best rebounding team in the SEC, and we are not. That's something we've struggled with all year. That's something that has not gone well for us. And you kind of knew that if Bruce and Dom and those guys didn't come in necessarily locked in and engaged, it was going to be a problem for them.
Yeah,
and it was. Oh, I pulled up ESPN.com to get the box score for the game, and DK Metcalf is on the front page. So,
really?
Had a boy, the draft, the combine coming up. So, had a boy DK.
AKA Thanos.
You are the man, and whatever you say goes. But
I hope he ends up on a team that also likes to run the DK Metcalf P play.
Yes,
because, that was the best play of all.
Never forget that DK peed in the end zone. But I'm getting the box score from the game for Ole Miss and Georgia. Let's see. Here we go. So, like I said, Georgia, the best rebounding team, and Nicholas Claxton is. He's really good. I don't know how else to really explain it. He's just really good.
Yeah.
But looking at the rebounding numbers for Ole Miss, Georgia got 34 rebounds. Ole Miss got 29. So that's not necessarily getting blown out in that category. But Bruce Stevens got 5 rebounds, had 7 points, 5 rebounds. So sneaky good game for him. Dominic had 6 points, 5 rebounds. So those guys did enough to kind of keep Georgia off the boards and get the win there. But it just, I don't know, man. It just never, like, we got up big, and then they kind of fought back, and then we got up big again, and then they kind of fought back. And it was, and it comes down to this last minute, this last second play where Georgia does not get a good shot off, but it happened. The Georgia shot at the buzzer to try to win the game came a mere minutes after Tulane had just hit a walk-off home run against the baseball team.
Really?
And so it was like everybody was like, man, we just got walked off in baseball. We're fixing to get walked off in basketball. But yeah,
it felt that way for a minute.
Yeah, it did. So I mean, I guess before we talk specifics, I mean, what'd you see? Like what? You know,
man, for the game or for the ending?
For the game in general, ending, whatever. I don't care.
Well, at the ending, one thing I thought that was interesting was, and again, I can't say for sure that this is what they were doing, but it seemed like defensively Kermit's strategy was to basically create some chaos off the inbound pass, which they did, rather than trying to man up, which, if that's what they were doing, was brilliant because we were losing a lot of the sort of one-on-one battles today, which is why I think Georgia was able to keep the score so close. But if you watch, I watched back and it was like Schuler was defending the inbound pass, but really kind of in position to go to wherever the ball was, which we all knew would be Claxton. All 3 guys were on him, including Dom, who was very pumped. If you watch back the finish.
Yeah, if you had the prop bet for Dominic Olejniczak making the game-winning defensive play, congratulations, because he did. Some ad just started playing on my computer. That was weird. Yeah, no, that was the thing that I immediately noticed was that.
Yeah.
Like you said, we did change defenses on that. We went to the 1-3-1.
Yeah.
We sprung that on them kind of unexpectedly, but the play it seemed very specifically designed. Georgia was trying to go to Claxton, and we were not going to let him take the shot.
Yeah.
And all the credit in the world to Dominic for that, because that was awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, he had every right to be pumped after that, because man, he saved the game in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, because if Claxton gets that ball and gets going downhill, you know, it's gonna you know, that's not gonna end up well for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the other great performance of the game, in a more subtle way, was our man Kenyon Joseph Buffin. That putback dunk was nasty.
Dog, there ain't nothing subtle about Kenyon Joseph's game. Nothing subtle.
He just keeps making an impact when he gets out on the court, you know. And I thought I would be curious to see his rebound total. I don't remember how many he had overall, but it seemed like he had 2 or 3 of them on the offensive end, leading the points most of those times, as I recall.
Yeah, KJ had 4 rebounds total, and 3 of them were offensive rebounds.
Yeah, so there you go. He looked really good, man. I can't wait to see what he does going down the road of this season, but also, like we talked about, man, when he is able to bulk up a little bit going into next year, I just think he's got it.
Yeah, I mean, he I texted you after the putback dunk and used some words that I probably can't repeat on a podcast, but man, like he's so good. Like he just does, like, he does so many things that just work. I mean, you know, like they just, like, he's in the right spot. He had that one, as impressive as the putback dunk was, he had that one play where he like comes up under and does this like weird like windmill thing and like throws it over his head, and like and the thing I love about him is that after he does something like that, he never gets excited.
Yes.
He just kind of like makes this shot with this insanely high level of difficulty, or throws it down, and everybody in the pavilion just comes unglued. They're going crazy, and he just kind of like.
Absolutely.
Like runs back down the court, and he kind of like flails his arms like he doesn't know what he's doing, and it's awesome. Like, he's so good. And you know, the more I watch him, the more I see Murphy Holloway with a better offensive game. I mean, and that's like,
yeah.
Like, if you know me and you know my affinity for Murphy Holloway, both as a basketball player and as a completely ridiculous and hilarious individual, that's about as high praise as I can heap on somebody. But I mean, when KJ gets some weight And when and you see it every now and then. You see his aggressive streak. Like once he really channels that, man, it's gonna be unbelievable. And him and Blake, Blake's at a little bit of a wall, which is to be understood with freshmen. But when him and Blake kind of get this thing figured out, it's gonna be awesome.
Absolutely. And my dad and I were talking about this, but one thing that I'll be interested to see with Buffin is we know he can shoot, and he hasn't really opened up the 3-point game yet, but we know that's within his wheelhouse. So it may be next year before, he's up to the point of doing that a lot, but I'm excited to see him stretch his offensive game because I think we may have only seen a fraction of what he's capable of.
Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, I've heard Kermit talk about it some, and he's not the kind of guy that you want to be the focal point for your 3-point shooting. But he's the kind of guy that if you leave him as open as he's getting left right now, he's going to be able to make you pay for that. And the more he does that, like you said, the more he's going to open. The more he's going to open those lanes up to, maybe get that head fake and drive in, or rack up some assists, or just knock the shot down. But yeah, I think, man, I think the potential for Henson and Buffin both is through the roof.
Absolutely.
And Blake hit a big shot yesterday too. That he's kind of struggling a little bit, but he hit a big shot, and man, you just kind of keep watching those guys find ways to win, and that's what's so impressive. Yeah, is that they it's like they know what's going on, and they're not fixing to let it slip away from them. Yeah. Also, man, I thought Devontae played a great game.
He did.
He hit some big shots, and he's become quite a quite a reliable 3-point shooter. He's knocking down really big shots and just making more and more plays. Saturday he had let's see, where's the number? He had 16 points. Oh, sorry, man, I've got this cough thing. It's just not going away. But
no worries.
He had 16 points. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. And he just continues to, I think, grow. And the thing you remember about Devontae is this is his first year playing point guard. There's a lot to like about even as you look and you struggle with a team that you have already blown out once. You still kind of look and say, look, they found a way to win, and they've got three of their last 4 games are very, very winnable. I don't know I don't know how winnable Kentucky is, but and also I loved DC Davis getting the breakaway and throwing down. And the other thing, DC Davis, smallest guy on the court, he tied the team lead with 5 rebounds. So
he's a two-time Square Jam dunk contest winner.
He is.
So we know he can elevate, and it's good to see him do it.
I love to see a 5'9" dude throw down like that. This is awesome.
Reminds me of springs and
me of Chris Warren a little bit.
I can see that.
Correction, DC Davis is listed at 5'11", so he's really like 5'6". So
who's the most generous on paper height of all time?
It has to either be Chris Warren or we had a kid named Dundrekus Nelson.
Oh yeah.
Who got arrested for buying drugs and he fell for the trap the police set for him was just knocking on the door and saying his pizza was there, and he came out and got arrested.
No way.
I think he finished his career at Jackson State. He was let's see what he was listed at.
I remember he dropped 30 one time.
He's listed at 6 feet.
There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way that happened. He somehow ended up at LSU.
Really?
He played 2013 and 14 at LSU. So that's weird. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
But
wasn't Murphy Holloway, when he tested the NFL waters, didn't they mark him 2 inches shorter than he was always listed?
Yeah, he was always listed at 6'7", and And Andy Kennedy was 6'7", and Andy Kennedy was a good 3 inches taller than Murphy Holloway. And they asked him one time, they're like, "Man, are you not 6'7"?" He's like, "Man, if I was 6'7", I'd be in the NBA."
I want to say when he tried out for the not the combine, just the NFL. I want to say he was listed at 6'4" there. So generous on paper for sure.
I'm gonna see if I can find this. They don't have any information on him. Yeah, but no, you're right. He was not definitely not the 6'7" he was listed at. But yeah, so that's a great conversation though. I mean, I still think it's Chris Warren just because Chris was listed at like 5'10", and you're like, nah, dude, that's not right. But so looking ahead, Ole Miss has got a pretty big week coming up. It's big in the sense that you just need to do what you did. You just need to do what you did last week. You just need to go 1-1. You've got Tennessee at home, and then you're at Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about Arkansas is that to me, man, they're so close to just kind of falling apart. They're really struggling. They're 5-9 in the league. They're 14-13 overall. They they got blown out by Auburn recently. They just got they had I think they had like a big lead over State and then blew that. And then I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, they lost to yesterday they lost to Texas A&M.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's hard to know exactly what to make of that particular game, but you ought to go to Arkansas and win. We really should. And I think if you get that win, then you're in. I think you're set. That's your 10th. That's your 10th conference win.
Yeah.
You finish the season with no sub 100 losses, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're there. And that's not even to account playing Tennessee at home Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday or Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Tennessee at home.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There it is, right there. Tennessee at home is such a huge opportunity because Tennessee is not playing well right now.
Yeah.
They lost to Kentucky. I think they're getting exposed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're 24-3. I'm not saying that they're like, I'm not saying that they're like some terrible team or whatever, but I think all year they've kind of played over their heads just because of the talent discrepancy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, assuming too many Twitter warriors aren't like, I'm not going to any more Ole Miss basketball games because them boys kneel like whatever, shut up. Again, nobody got upset at the game, but assuming that doesn't happen, the place is going to be it should be rocking Wednesday night. And I think Ole Miss has got a great chance to win that game if you can get a serviceable game out of Dom and Bruce.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to predict it just because Tennessee is a deeper team than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that at this point in the year, it's harder to win a game on emotion because you're physically just so gassed.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me to see Ole Miss pull this one off.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, I feel like any day we get a productive night from the bigs, we can win, just because the guards have been so consistent other than, than TD occasionally finding foul trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much just can't ask for more than we've gotten from Brian Schuler and TD, regardless of the competition.
Yeah.
So yeah, you feel like if the big guys step up, we can compete with anybody to some degree.
Well, and even TD's like off nights have been more to the tune of like 13 points and 4 rebounds than last year when they'd be like 2 points and 5 fouls. He actually, I was looking the other day. He actually has not fouled out of that many games this year.
Really,
and he's contributed. I mean, even the games that he has played poorly.
Yeah.
You look, you're like, well, I mean, like the Vanderbilt game, for example. Like he was non-existent in the Vanderbilt game until the last 6 minutes or so, where he just stepped in with 4 fouls and made some unbelievable plays. So
yeah,
if you mean, look, Brian's gonna be Brian. Like, this is what he's gonna do. He's awesome. He's so good.
Yeah.
And but he's due for another big game. Terrence is due for another big game. Devontae's playing really well. Again, I'm not going to predict the win just because Tennessee is really, really good. But Tennessee is showing some flaws that they haven't shown to this point in the season. So I'll be interested to see what happens. But the most important thing is, regardless of what happens Wednesday, go to Arkansas and win.
Yes.
And you are set.
Yeah.
You're in. You don't have to worry about the 4 seed. You don't have to worry about Selection Sunday. You're strictly looking at what's our seed going to be. And I mean, if you had told me that was going to be the case in year one, I am as optimistic of an Ole Miss basketball fan as they come.
Yeah.
But I would have thought, I thought all along, NIT is absolute ceiling for these guys. And they were like, no, you're wrong. We got, Kermit's awesome. And Brian is, I mean, I really think it all hinges on Brian, because he's been so good. He's been so much better. And I thought he was going to be good. I think the world of him athletically, as a player, as a guy, whatever. He's exceeded, I think, everybody's wildest expectations of him.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Yeah, I think he's been incredible, and you can see why Andy Kennedy was so excited about him when they were recruiting him. By the way, on that topic, did you see Andy Kennedy and Brian's exchange after the game on SEC Network?
I did.
Super
it was
sweet,
it was fantastic. It was fantastic, and I wonder too if AK wasn't kind of in his own way relaying some sympathy for kind of the just the crap that was going on campus that day as well.
Yeah.
But you could just see, man, those two guys, like they love each other, they respect each other, and I don't think anybody's happier for Ole Miss than outside of the Ole Miss locker room and their families. I don't think anybody's happier than AK for those guys, and it was a cool moment to see. Because I was wondering too. I was like, because the players don't have the benefit of seeing the screen as they're talking on the interview. So I'm wondering if they're like, "Hey, Brian, SEC Network," and he didn't even know who was on, and because he was like, "Oh, what's up, coach?" So so anyway, that was cool, they continue to be kind of the feel good story of college basketball this year, and I'm here for it.
Absolutely, man, 100%.
But anything else you wanna throw on top before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, this is echoing a little bit of an article I read earlier today. But like you said, and knock on wood, if we're able to get what I think is just the one more win we need to basically be a lock, it'll be really interesting to see what Kermit's strategy is going into the SEC tournament in terms of who's playing and how much, but also just how we do in a tournament that we don't have to do well in. You know what I mean? Like it's like even the 2013 and 2015 tournament teams needed to do well to feel good about their chances, and it would be interesting to see if, being able to be a little bit more loose, because if we lost Friday, we'd still be in, how that plays to our sort of psychological advantage over at least some of the teams we might encounter on that path.
Yeah, I am unbelievably fascinated to see what happens in the SEC tournament. If like you said, if we get there, because it really doesn't matter for us. And then also, like, what kind of what can they do if they make the NCAA tournament? What can they do? Because the NCAA tournament is so much about guard play, and there aren't a lot of teams. There are teams, but there aren't a lot of teams that are better than Ole Miss in those top 3 guard spots. So it's going to be fascinating. And again, I mean, if you told me that we were going to be playing meaningful basketball into March this year, I don't know. I mean, again, as optimistic as I am, I just don't know that I would have believed you.
Yeah,
but here we are. So
it's exciting, man. It's been a fun year.
It is. It's going to be a fun couple of weeks. We'll see. we'll see where things go from here. But that's all we got for this week. So thanks for listening. We will be back hopefully next week to discuss hopefully a 2-0 week, but at worst, we hope a 1-1 week, and we can officially start watching for seeding in the NCAA tournament. But thanks for listening. I'm Chandler. He's Sam, and it's a lot of fun. We'll catch you next week.
Heck yeah.